used to go camping alone a lot, not because I preferred it that way, but because it was the only time I felt like my head actually went quiet. No notifications, no people, just trees, wind, and whatever noises the forest decided to make. This happened about 2 years ago. I found this remote camping spot about an hour off a dirt road. It wasn't an official campsite, just a clearing I'd found on a hiking forum. The kind of place where you don't see another person for miles, which at the time was exactly what I wanted. I got there a little before sunset, set up my tent, got a fire going, made some food. Everything felt normal, peaceful even. But once it got dark, the forest felt different. It was heavier, like the silence wasn't really silence, just something waiting. At first, it was small things, branches snapping in the distance, leaves crunching. That's normal, right? Animals, wind, your brain filling in the blanks. So I ignored it until I heard footsteps, clear, slow, and deliberate, not scattered like an animal, not light like something small. These sounded human. I froze, sitting by the fire. The footsteps stopped, just like that, and the silence that followed felt wrong, like whatever made that noise knew that I heard it. I grabbed my flashlight and scanned the trees, but I couldn't see a thing, just darkness between the trunks, stretching farther than the light could reach. I told myself I was being paranoid. I packed up my food, put out most of the fire, and climbed into my tent. That's when I heard it again. It was closer this time. Crunchy, 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 circling slowly, like someone was walking around my tent. I didn't move, didn't breathe. I just listened. The footsteps stopped right outside. And then, a soft voice, almost curious. Hello. I didn't respond. Every instinct in my body was screaming not to. There was something off about the voice. Not just that it was unexpected, but the tone. It didn't sound like someone asking for help. It sounded like someone testing something, waiting to see how I'd react. A few seconds passed. Then I heard it again. I know you're in there. My stomach dropped because I hadn't made a sound. Not a single one. And yet they knew. The zipper of my tent rattled slightly. Just a tiny movement, like someone had touched it. I grabbed the small knife I kept in my bag and just held it, staring at the outline of the tent door. Then I could hear the footsteps walking away, slow at first, then faster, then running. I waited. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe longer. Eventually, the exhaustion took over, and I must have fallen asleep. When I woke up, the sun was already up. For a second, I almost convinced myself it had all been a dream, until I looked at the entrance of my tent. There were fingerprints smudged into the fabric, right where the zipper was, and just outside, footprints, barefoot, circling my tent, over and over and over again. I packed up everything in under 10 minutes and left. I didn't look back once. I never went camping alone again, and I never went back to that spot. But sometimes, when it's quiet enough, I still think about that voice, the way it said, I know you're in there, like it wasn't guessing, like it already knew. This happened when I was camping with my older brother and his friends. There were 5 of us total. We went out to this national forest for a weekend trip. Nothing too crazy. Just hiking, drinking, and hanging out by the fire. The first night was completely normal. The second night wasn't. It started around 2 a.m. I woke up to the sound of something dragging. At first, I thought it was part of a dream, but then I heard it again. A slow, scraping sound, like something heavy being pulled across the ground. I sat up in my sleeping bag and listened. The others were still asleep. The fire had burned down to embers, barely lighting the clearing. And then I saw it, something moving just beyond the edge of the campsite. A shape low to the ground, dragging something behind it. I squinted, trying to make sense of it, but every time I focused on it, it felt like my eyes just couldn't lock onto it, like it didn't want to be seen clearly. I reached over and shook my brother. "Hey, wake up." He groaned but sat up. "What? Do you see that?" He looked in the direction that I was pointing. For a second, he didn't say anything. Then his whole expression changed. "Yeah, I see it." That's when I knew I wasn't imagining it. The thing stopped moving, like it realized we were watching. And then slowly, it stood up. Whatever it wasn't small. And whatever it had been dragging, it dropped it. We heard it hit the ground with a dull, heavy thud. My brother whispered, "Wake the others." I didn't hesitate. Within seconds, everyone was up, staring into the darkness. No one spoke. No one moved. We just watched. And then it took a step forward into the faint light of the fire. Not enough to see details, just enough to understand its shape. Too tall and arms too long, with its head tilted at an angle that didn't look natural. And then it made a sound. Not loud, not aggressive, just a low, uneven breathing noise, like it was struggling to breathe correctly. That's when one of my brother's friends said, "We need to leave." Nobody argued. We started packing up as fast as we could, throwing things into bags without caring about organization. The whole time, it didn't move. It just stood there, watching us. When we finally got everything together, we didn't even bother putting out the fire. We just grabbed what we could and started heading toward the trail. And that's when it moved again. We heard it sprinting through the trees, circling us, branches snapping, leaves exploding under its weight. But we couldn't see it anymore, only hear it. And that was worse. We ran and didn't stop until we reached the car. We threw everything in, jumped inside, and locked the doors. For a moment, it was silent again. Then something hit the side of the car, hard. The entire vehicle shook. Someone screamed. My brother started the engine immediately, and as we pulled away, I looked out the back window, just for a second, and I wish I hadn't, because I saw it, standing at the edge of the trees, watching us leave, perfectly still, like it wasn't even chasing us anymore, like it didn't need to. We never went back, and we never talked about what we saw that night. But I still think about one thing. What was it dragging? And why did it drop it right before we noticed it? I went camping with my girlfriend last summer. It was supposed to be a relaxing trip. Just the two of us, a small tent, and a quiet lakeside spot we'd found online. The first day was perfect. Swimming, cooking, watching the sunset. It felt like one of those moments you wish you could pause. That night, we went to sleep early. Around midnight, I woke up, not to a sound, but to movement. The tent was shaking, not violently, just gently, back and forth. At first, I thought it was wind, but there was no sound of wind, no rustling trees, just the tent moving. I nudged my girlfriend. "Hey, are you doing that?" She shook her head, still half asleep. "Doing what?" Before I could answer, the movement stopped completely. We both stayed still, and then, hand pressed against the side of the tent, clear as day, 5 fingers, right at eye level. My girlfriend gasped. The hand stayed there for a few seconds, then slowly slid down, dragging across the fabric. We didn't say a word, didn't move. We just stared at where it had been. And then a second hand appeared on the other side of the tent. Now there were 2, one on each side, pressing inward, as if something was leaning against the tent, surrounding us. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought whatever was outside could hear it. Then a face pushed into the fabric, distorted, features stretched and warped through the material, but still unmistakably human. It stayed there for a moment. Then it spoke. "Can I come in?" The voice sounded wrong, too flat, too calm, like it didn't understand the question it was asking. My girlfriend started crying silently next to me. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight, and the second the light hit the tent, everything disappeared. No hands, no face. We waited 5 minutes, then 10. Nothing came back. Eventually, we convinced ourselves it was over, that whatever it was had left. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. As soon as the sun came up, we packed everything and got out of there. We didn't speak during the drive home. Neither of us wanted to say it out loud, because saying it would make it real. But about halfway back, my girlfriend finally broke the silence. "You saw it too, right?" I nodded. She stared out the window for a long time. Then she said something I still can't explain. It wasn't outside the tent. I felt my stomach drop. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then quietly said, "When you turned on the light, it was facing out." If you made it this far, you officially don't need a camping trip anytime soon. But hey, if you do go camping after this, maybe don't answer if something calls out to you in the middle of the night. And definitely don't assume you're alone just because you can't see anyone. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to True Terra. I post new videos every night at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And if you have your own scary story, feel free to share it. You never know, it might end up in the next video. Stay safe.